Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something fun. I am collabing with another creator here on YouTube. Her name is Bree. Her YouTube channel is @BreeCBeauty and her Instagram handle is BreeC_beauty. I'm going to link her channel, her socials, and today's video down below in the description box. Bree is really sweet and fun. She has this effervescent, bubbly personality, and she loves makeup in general, but she really loves eyeshadow, and particularly colorful eyeshadow, just like me. She's got tons of palettes, huge collection. She does a lot of reviews, a lot of current new releases. She has a deep appreciation for indie eyeshadow, so if you're interested in seeing that sort of thing, definitely check out Bree and her channel. I can't wait to see her video because I'm looking forward to seeing what palettes she picked for today's theme, which is great palettes for springtime. As we move into the next season, at least this part of the world, we're entering spring, and the birds are singing, the trees are in bloom, the flowers are poking their heads, so that's what today's video is going to be about. We're going to be talking about springtime eyeshadow palettes. If you're new to my channel, hey there, my name's Rachel. I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom, and I really like to play with colorful eyeshadow. I upload lots of videos that are all eyeshadow related. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more. Hit the notification bell. You know the drill. Let's get rolling with today's video. So in case you were curious, I did film today's eyeshadow look. I will link it down below for you as well. And let's talk about the palette that I used for today's look because it was so much fun. This is the Lure palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I had never tried the brand before. Brand new to the brand, brand new to the palette. I loved my experience so far. I cannot wait to play with it more. I think that this is a wonderful springtime palette because although it has some deeper tones, which can give you a really deep, grungy, smoky kind of look, it also has lots of mid and light tones, and it has lighter tone shimmers as well. That's my personal preference. I prefer mid to light tone shimmers over dark shimmers. This palette has every contrasting point that you would want within color families, and it's so beautiful, and it has performed. This is my first time using it today, but it performed like a dream. I can't wait to play with it more. I really want to do like each of the columns. So much fun. This is a great springtime palette. Yeah, it's obviously a pretty curated color story. There's nothing too wild, crazy, or unexpected. You can go quite light. You've got some inner corner highlights, and you can go pretty colorful. Recommend. I pulled out this palette from ColourPop. This is the child when they collaborated for the first time with Star Wars. Mine's broken up here, but you can still see that there was a shimmery gold over there. I think that this palette is very subdued. It's still springy, but not really vibrant and bright. It's more subtle. You can get really beautiful but softer looks from this palette. If you want to, you can dress those looks up with some of the shimmers, or you can go all matte and still have lighter, mid, and deep tones. I love the greens, these sweet, soft olive tones, not grungy, just sort of light and airy, but still with a variety of depth. This palette is excellent quality, and even though this shimmer broke on me, I've still obviously got it in my collection because it's definitely worth keeping. And it's maybe not the quintessential springtime palette like a couple of the ones that I'm going to show you here soon, but I think it's a really good, soft, maybe colorful look for a neutral lover to bring you into the next season. Here's a little bit more of a colorful palette, but which still fits, in my opinion, on the more subdued side of things. This is the Rococo palette from Musee Beauty. I think that they were Musee Beauty and then they became Kailav. The last time I pronounced that, I said it wrong. I kept saying Kailav. That was because there was a radio station that I used to listen to called Kailav, and that was in my brain, but I'm pretty sure it's actually pronounced Kailav. Anyway, I believe they're going out of business, but here's the Rococo palette, obviously based off of the Rococo art movement. Beautiful color story. This, again, is very soft. It's more muted. It's romantic. It's very feminine, very floral. I think this is a great springtime palette because just look at these colors. It's all flowers, right? It's so lovely. I've used it once so far. I've liked it. It's been nice. I'd seen some videos. I'm thinking particularly Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner, and she was saying that she felt the shimmers didn't really work with the mattes. She thought it was kind of odd to have gold and bronzy shimmers with these light floral tones. And somebody commented on her video saying that the Rococo art movement really focused on those colors. It was focusing on these soft light florals with more metallics. And so the color story of this palette perfectly matched the theme of the Rococo art movement. And I think that the tones work together nicely. I understand what Annette was saying, that these are much more soft, cool toned mattes and then warmer toned shimmers. But I personally like to have contrast and some more unusual color pairings in my eye looks, so that's right up my alley. But I think that this is a good palette for spring. It's performed really nicely. I believe that you can go onto Kailav's website and find whatever stock they're liquidating, because like I said, I think they're going out of business. But this palette has performed nicely for me so far, and the color story is very appealing. It's very floral and vintage, but not quite as bright as summertime colors. Here now is the Saga of Freya Cat's Breath palette from Udenzai. I pulled this one because I didn't want every palette to be Easter colors. I wanted to bring in some palettes that were maybe a little bit less typical or expected, but still kind of springy themed. I think this is a good fit because this one makes me think of leaving the bitter cold depths of winter and coming into the light, bright, sunny, airy, baby bunnies being born, birds are waking up, flowers are waking up, everything's coming to life. This palette made me think of that because we have some of the chilly, wintry tones, but then we have some more vibrant tones as well. So you still have cool greens and wintry whites and blues, but you've also got sunshine and warmth coming out of the palette. I mean, this shadow right here is actually called warmth. It's like the sun coming out of the snow, and this palette just imagery wise, I think that this one is a nice winter into spring transition as we watch the seasons change and we flip the calendar pages and we bring in warmer weather clothes. I don't know. What do you think? I'm not sure that I could make this video without talking about the Serenity palette from Cosmic Brushes because this color story is so very interesting. It has a lot of depth in it. I recently did a week of Serenity, which I can card above for you. I did a whole week of uploads using just this palette. One of my subscribers commented that every time she uses the palette, she gets really dark looks. I don't have that experience. I can see how you would because there are several deep mattes and a couple of deeper shimmers like these over here, but overall I find this palette to be a little bit more on the light side of things. And yes, springtime. Again, we've got sort of earthy tones over here, and I can just imagine crocuses poking their heads up out of the ground with their beautiful vibrant green leaves, and I see sunshine, and I see algae and moss beginning to form as we get into the warmer weather. Looking at this palette, I just see these vibrant pops of color that make me think of buds opening up on the trees, and you've got brown everywhere, and then but there's a white flower, or there's a red or an orange flower. Interesting enough that it gets my imagination going. So it's not just deeper tones or a weird random color story. I can sort of try to envision imagery with it, and that is a lot of fun, honestly. So this next palette is kind of an obvious choice. This might be in a lot of people's videos if they're talking about springtime palettes. Here's the Paradise Islands palette from Nomad Cosmetics. This was given to me and I'm really excited to play with it. I haven't played with it yet. I just had a baby and I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, figure out the routine with 3 children now. There's a lot of adjustment and I haven't had time to play with eyeshadow every day like I was before, but I'm really excited to play with this palette because I love this color story. This one, springtime in a palette, right? We've got Easter colors, we've got pastels, it covers all the bases. It does have a few deepening shades which work with all the tones, but overall this is quite pastel, and I'm excited about that because I love a pastel inner corner highlight. I love the contrast of pairing light pastel tones with deeper tones. So much fun. This palette is springtime in a palette. Even the outer packaging just makes you think warm, comfortable weather. Not hot, not sweaty or sticky. Maybe lying in a hammock somewhere with a book or relaxing on the beach on a perfect day with some sunshine and a cool breeze. Nothing too much, nothing over the top, just relaxing. Back to ColourPop for a moment. I had to talk about the Mint to Be palette. This palette is so, I don't know, it's great. I did have several shades shatter on me. This palette is in my collection until I throw it away, but it's really good quality, performs excellently, and these tones are very springtime. Like we've got, again, the pastel quality is excellent. It's so much fun to pair these shades with lots of other things. They work with blues, they work with greens, they work with pinks, they work with purples. It's a lot of fun to pair mint tones with other shadows, and this palette, despite the fact that 2 of my shades have broken, still gets a decent amount of use. Gray inner corner highlights, really bright popping sorts of shimmers. It's a lot of fun on its own, but adding it in to make more springy looks has a lot of potential. This one might be a little unexpected. This is the Paletopoly palette from Ace Beauté. I pulled this one because, yes, it has a lot of deep tones, but it has a lot of lighter tones as well. The shimmers, again, are more light. And because of this whole column here that's more grounded burgundy brown sorts of shades, it again makes me think of barren trees and then flowers as they're appearing. This would also be a good summertime themed palette. I don't wear eyeshadow based on the season, but it is fun to look at your collection through a new lens. Anyway, this palette has a lot of very bright, vibrant tones, and then we've got flowers over here. I've used this one once before. I can tell you, so far, great quality. I loved the eye look that I got from this one. I look forward to playing with this one more as well. Sorry if I seem to be whispering a bit. My baby is sleeping right there, and so I'm trying not to wake her because I want to get this video done. 2 more palettes to talk about. Let's go into BH Cosmetics. Here is the Lost in Los Angeles palette. Now, if you have been paying attention, you may know that this has not been part of my collection for like my last 2 collection videos because I was planning on giving this to a friend and she ended up buying it herself. So it's now back in my collection. It also has a broken shade right here. I think part of that just fell onto my lap, so I need to remember that before I get up. The biggest reason I brought it back into my collection is because of this matte white. Oh my goodness, BH Cosmetics and their matte pastels, amazing. The matte white's awesome. This is the best matte white in my collection now. I also have the Dark Fantasy palette from Beauty Bay, and there's a matte white in there which is not as good. It's okay, but it's not as good. This is better. Anyway, this is a great springtime palette. We're back to the Easter pastel colors, but this one has a little bit of a twist because, you know, this beautiful gold, it's not pastel. It's very vibrant. And even some of the more pastel toned mattes, they're not thin or sheer. They're still quite pigmented despite the fact that they're light colors like this one. This one is actually a little bit more purple than you might think. It's a nice peach over here, cool springy green, this weird salmon color. I just like it. It's a good palette, and I'm kind of excited that it's back in my collection, even though that blue shimmer was gone. And the final palette I want to talk about is from Udenzai. This is the Sol Monet 2 eyeshadow palette. Lovely palette, lovely springtime colors, very light, very colorful still. It's not neutral, it's not boring, it's also not super vibrant, but the colors are beautiful and they all work together. Everything in here is it just belongs in here. The performance is excellent. I love Udenzai. The mattes are lovely and pigmented. You do have 3 deepening shades, which again work with all the tones on the palette. The shimmers are super, super sparkly. Actually, today's eye look, the Blend Bunny formula reminds me a lot of Udenzai. Udenzai is my favorite. So there's some competition now, but the formula in the mattes and the shimmers really reminded me of Udenzai because it stayed put. It was easy to work with, easy to blend out, easy to build up. The light mattes even partially covered some of the darker mattes, and the shimmers were super finely milled. They bring a beautiful, highly sparkly, but not too metallic looking kind of finish to the look. Anyway, this Sol Monet 2 palette is great. We have the warmer tone colors with the sunshine, and then we have lighter tone colors as the earth sort of comes alive. We've got new flowers and new life and buds popping off the trees and bushes everywhere, and little shoots of grass coming up from the earth. There is a grounding tone right here that you can bring any look back down to reality by throwing in a grounding shade, such as a brown or a black. This one is sort of like a charcoal brown. I don't think it's really black, even though it's called black hole. I have other blacks in my collection that are way more deep, true blacks. This one seems to have some brown in it, but I'm not complaining because it is a good grounding shade for sort of bringing your look back a little bit, reining it in if it's gone up a bit on the more colorful side. This palette is excellent for springtime. Even the packaging makes me think of spring, again leading from the coolness of winter into the brightness and the new life of spring. So there you go. That about wraps it up. This is my video on some great springtime palettes. I apologize if I seem scatterbrained. Again, I have a newborn and I'm trying to get back into the routine, trying to find time for myself and still take care of the children and everything around me that needs to be done. So hopefully this video didn't seem too out of control. I hope that you enjoyed it. Comment below what you think. Do you have these palettes, or did I miss a palette that you absolutely love for springtime? Whether or not it's in my collection, I would love to hear your thoughts. It's so much fun to chat with you guys in the comments. Don't forget to check out Bree's video. It's linked below in the description box. I can't wait to see what her choices were too. Thank you, Bree, for collaborating with me. I hope we can do this again. Great times. Thank you all for watching, for clicking on my channel, for coming back if you've been here before. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you again really soon in my next video. Bye.